Alright, let's look at the homework 14.3, problem number 9. Alright, let's take these partial derivatives. Alright, so let's do the first one. So you can see that we have to take the partial with respect to x, and then y, then z. Alright, so we're going to take the partial derivative of w with respect to x. Alright, this is going to be, right, so everything else is a constant, so you're going to have a 1 over y plus 8g. So you have a 1 over y plus 8z. And the derivative of x is 1, so you just get that, right? Then we have to do the partial with respect to y. So we're going to have to take the second partial, right? Then with respect to x, and then with respect to y, right? So we just have to take the partial derivative of this, right? So I'm going to use the quotient rule here. So we're going to square the bottom. So you have a y plus 8z squared, right? Then if you take the derivative of 1, it's 0. So times bottom is going to be 0 minus 1 times derivative of the denominator. So derivative of y is 1, and the derivative partial with this 8z with respect to y is 0. So it's just going to be 1, right? So you will get the negative 1 over quantity y plus 8z squared, all right? And the last one, so we take the derivative partial of that with respect to z. So with respect to x, with respect to y, with respect to z. Alright? So you're going to have a negative sign. I'll leave it outside. Alright? Square the bottom guy. So it's going to be quantity y plus 8z to the 4th power. Alright? Then derivative of that is 0 times the bottom is 0. So minus 1 times the derivative of the denominator. So I'm just doing the quotient rule. So we're going to put the 2 in front. Then you have a y plus 8z. And subtract 1 from 2, so it's going to be a first power. So I'm not going to write that. Then multiply by derivative of what's inside with respect to z. So derivative partial of y with respect to z is 0. Partial of 8z with respect to z would be 8. So we're going to multiply by 8. Right? So if you clean this up, right? So you have a negative sign here and a negative sign cancel out. And also you have one of these factor is going to cancel out. So that's going to be a 3rd power. So you would end up with 2 times 8 is 16 over quantity 8 y plus 8z to the 3rd power. Right? So let's type it in. Right? So we got 16 over quantity y plus 8z raised to the 3rd power. So let's check the answer first. Alright, it came back and we got the first one correctly. Alright, so let's work on the second one. Alright, so to first is a partial with respect to y. So we're going to have to take the partial of w with respect to y. Alright, so this is going to be equal to. Alright, so let's take the quotient rule again. Right, so I'm going to square the bottom. So you have a y plus 8z squared. Right. Then derivative of the top is going to be 0 because x is a constant with respect to y. So it's going to be that. So you have a minus. Right. Top is x. And the derivative of the bottom with respect to y would be simply 1. So it's going to be times 1. Right. So we get that. Right, then we're going to take the partial with respect to y, x now. So, alright, so you will get this, right? Since negative 1, so negative 1 over quantity y plus 8z squared is just a constant. and the partial of x with respect to x is going to be 1. So you just get that. Right? Then you have to do the partial with respect to again. So partial with respect to y first. Then you do with respect to x twice. So, but you can see that this is actually, there's no x. So it is a constant. So partial with respect to x is going to be 0. Right? So let's type it in. So for the second one, we get 0. So submit for testing. Alright, it came back and looks like we got this one correctly. Alright, that's it. I hope that this was clear.